Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of Confusion Thursday Night Hangout.
Yo, it's Thursday, and we're all alive as far as I know, so that's a good thing, I reckon.
Indeed, ladies and gentlemen, I, of course, am your host, Charlie, and I'm joined once again by the prolific commentator himself, Zealeus.
It is good to see you, sir.
Indeed, it's good to be seen. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Thursday Night Hangout. This is a live show where we try our best to cover the topics that are most important to you during the show. Now, of course, if you haven't had a chance to submit your topic, your question, etc., please do so in the chat window. If you're on Facebook, of course, if you're on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch, because that's the three we're streaming on. Like I said, chat room, it'll pop up. We'll add it to the conversation. Now, we're going to try to cover as many topics as possible. If we do run out of time, we will take that list and roll it over to the next week. So
we could really dive deep into some of the topics, and then we don't get to all of them.
That too. That could happen as
well. So
many
options.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, right off the bat, let's talk about the fact that we have a humongous convention that is going to be strictly virtual coming up this weekend. That, of course, is BlizzCon.
BlizzCon, the virtual convention, which has been a thing pretty much forever anyways. I mean, I know you could go in person, but you also have the virtual option.
Right, and this time, BlizzCon will be strictly virtual. There will not be a physical presence for it. Now, that being said, there have already been leaks of information about what is going to be revealed at BlizzCon, and most of it centers around World of Warcraft, of course.
I thought it was going to be about Diablo Mobile.
Sadly, no. I'm sorry, Zealeus. I know it breaks your heart, but no Diablo Mobile for you.
I mean, the last 2 years, that's all my heart's been set on is Diablo Mobile.
Sure. So anyways, so there's two bits of information. Actually, to be, I guess, more specific, there's one of the World of Warcraft bits is about the always updating World of Warcraft, and the other one is Vanilla WoW or
Classic WoW.
There it is.
WoW
Classic WoW. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, so the first one is the Shadowlands patch 9.1 will include a new zone that the jailer has pulled into the Maw. There's going to be a new dungeon, a 10 boss raid, and see, I haven't played World of Warcraft for forever, so this stuff is going right over my head. But anyways. Players will also have the chance to unite all four of the Shadowlands Covenant factions and the ability to fly around the Shadowlands.
How exciting.
Now,
does it make you want to jump back into World of Warcraft?
No.
Oh.
See, that the content was not the thing that stopped me from playing World of Warcraft. The fact that I just don't do well in that type of game is the reason why I do not go back into World of Warcraft.
Watch this. Unfortunate and sad.
Indeed. All right, so now for the Vanilla WoW or World of Warcraft Classic or whatever you want to call it, they are going to do the Burning Crusade expansion, which of course means that once again, players will be able to go through the Dark Portal into the Outlands. The players will also have the ability to create a new Blood Elf or Draenei characters, which of course were not introduced until the Burning Crusade. And now here comes the real curveball, okay? If you don't want to play the classic WoW with the Burning Crusade expansion, there is there are going to be new classic era servers added so that you can continue to play World of Warcraft without the first expansion.
I mean, that's actually kind of cool. I was wondering how they're going to actually handle that situation of the rolling, basically, expansions. And effectively, eventually, it could have made classic WoW, like, not really classic anymore, given enough expansions. Obviously, I mean, I look at it two ways. One, it sounds like a giant pain in the ass for Blizzard to keep up.
Yep.
Because now they're basically keeping up really 3 games.
Yep.
The Vanilla, Burning Crusade, and then obviously the
Shadowlands,
the current version.
Yep.
The second thing is, like, I get the idea behind keeping classic WoW, but it seems like there comes a certain point where is there really anything left to do in classic WoW? I mean, there's only so much content. That's why you had expansions. So that's why I find kind of fascinating that they would actually, like, how long are they going to keep this classic version going along? Because I really wonder how many new players are just going to jump and be like, yeah, I don't even want the expansions. I want only classic WoW, when they never played WoW before.
Right, but here's the thing: if this is the method or approach they're going to take, are we going to see, like, I don't know, 7 servers in a bit, all with different versions of the game? Where
I would.
we're going to do classic WoW with only the Burning Crusade expansion, but not the next one, or this and that. I mean, also, I don't know, Zealeus, maybe you could look this up during the show. What is, like, the population on one of these classic WoW servers? I mean, it's got to be big enough to warrant them keeping another classic era server, right?
I mean, that's a good question. I really don't know. And I would imagine that, I don't know. That's a really good question. But you would think that they wouldn't keep like 7 different versions up. It would be almost like you'd have the classic, and then eventually you would have basically the rolling updates.
Right. And I mean, let's remember that that Activision basically holds the purse string. So that's really why I'm curious to see what the population is on these classic WoW servers. Because I don't think that Activision's going to do something that, I'm sorry, but I don't think Activision's going to do anything that's going to benefit the player.
Well, I think the key thing is because you still have a monthly subscription,
right?
And you basically look at it, as long as that monthly subscription even subsidizes the cost of one classic server,
right?
Then I would guess they would keep it going. That would be my guess. And I also wonder how many players might have multiple subscriptions. Maybe one for classic vanilla, and then the new classic with Burning Crusade for people who really die hard.
Dude, that is beyond hardcore, and I tip my hat to those individuals. I will never get there.
Yeah, it's what happens when you become an adult. You don't have time to have 3 active WoW subscriptions.
Yeah. So, of course, you know, BlizzCon is happening this weekend. Go check it out on the website, their website. I think it's BlizzCon. What is it? It's BlizzCon.com, right? Or
BlizzCon.com. That'd be a correct guess, sir.
So just check out all the details. Of course, I'm sure there's going to be some more stuff revealed. Like,
don't forget that the actual legitimate Diablo 2 remake is a real thing.
Right. Done by a new team.
I still think is stupid, but whatever.
Done by a new team. That's never worked on Diablo titles, but that's okay. And of course, I'm sure there's going to be some Overwatch stuff.
Well, I think that's actually a good question. Is Overwatch 2? I mean, because Blizzard's pretty much said that the current state of Overwatch is pretty much is what it is, without release of new characters, maps, etc., which is troublesome, honestly. I mean, you look at any online competitive game, and how do they keep the content fresh? You have new characters, new metas, new maps, new et cetera. So you wonder, are they going to be able to, like, I understand where they're coming from, that you don't want to basically be maintaining the current Overwatch. You want to put those resources to Overwatch 2, but are you going to lose so much of your current gamer player base with that gamble, basically, that you actually lose in the long run? So I think it's a gamble that, especially if it actually heard an Overwatch 2 release date. I mean, it's not like it's next month or something. It's in the future. So I would hope to hear something about Overwatch 2 because I'm still an Overwatch fan. But I don't know, obviously.
So just at I'm pulling up this on the other monitor here. I was just looking to see what the current viewer tally is for, of course, Overwatch, and then a game like Valorant, which has stolen a bunch of the Overwatch pros. Currently on Twitch, because that's where I could pull the stats up as the quickest. Overwatch has 22.2 thousand viewers, live viewers right now. Valorant has 129,000. So Valorant's got what? That's 6 times.
That's just a little bit of a difference.
And then if you were to look at the top actual individual channel, you have 3,000 viewers is the max for Overwatch, and for Valorant it is 20,000.
Wow.
Which is almost 7 times the amount. So,
unfortunately, now you have the new big indie game Valheim, which is getting tops of the list.
Yes. Okay, so we talked about BlizzCon. Of course, the other news is that E3, of course, is going to happen, but only happen virtually, which has caused a little bit of a stir in certain parts of the gaming community. Mainly, you have a lot of developers and publishers and some former presidents of certain companies coming out and saying that, yes, COVID-19 has basically screwed everything up. It's definitely caused a reconstruction or reconsideration of everything and of conventions and how we do them. But with E3 being such a more industry-driving or industry-aimed convention, and a lot of it is showing stuff off at this convention on the floor and having people get a game in their hands, that having a strictly virtual E3 doesn't really work, because a lot of you can't build that buzz about that game that you had to sign the NDA for. That's a non-disclosure agreement for those out there who don't know, which means that until this date, I cannot talk about it. There's no hype. There's no, basically it's like a place where a bunch of trailers that are going to be dropped off on YouTube in 5 more hours you can watch now. I mean, that's what else is E3 going to be able to produce to you when it's strictly virtual?
Yeah, I don't disagree. It's definitely, some events are meant to be in person. And I would definitely agree. I think BlizzCon works virtual because it's one company, right? It's
right.
BlizzCon controls their content, and really it was always about kind of the diehard Blizzard fans anyways. So it works. Like for them, I think BlizzCon virtual will be fine. They'll do what they want.
Yeah.
But for E3, when you're pulling all these different companies who now have their own timelines, I mean, they probably used to push to get to E3.
Yeah.
Because it was such a big deal. But now, if you're a company, it's like, do we really care about E3? Probably not now. Well, at least while it's virtual.
I think part of the problem is that, like I said, you don't have those people who have, exclusive access to behind the scenes gameplay, and you can't really hype something up. Yes, of course, you could send out review copies to publications or whatever, but now that going that approach, you have all these different companies trying to basically inundate your inbox, if you're media, with play our game, where media usually is just walking around the floor, the exposition hall, and going, ooh, that looks cool, that sounds awesome, let me check it out. And now it's just kind of like like a faceless letter.
Well, it's also that in hardware, because it used to show off. I mean, right now there's the big push for things like VR and hardware like that is just hard to show virtually. It's just,
yeah.
It's not the same. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but I also understand. I mean, it seems like E3 as a organization also doesn't want to lose that namesake and kind of lose what they built over the years.
Didn't they shut it down for like a year or two? Or no, well, they switched models for a bit, right?
Yeah, maybe. It didn't happen last year.
But did any conventions really happen last year, though?
Well, exactly. But that's probably, I'm guessing that's where they're coming from, is they also want to kind of hopefully be prepared then for next year to actually be able to have in-person conventions again safely.
Hopefully.
We will see.
Which, by the way, just for those out there who are wondering, as of right now, MomoCon is set to actually happen at the end of May. Yeah, in person.
Nice.
But we'll see when it actually gets closer. Okay, since we talked about BlizzCon, we also talked about E3. There was, for those in the Nintendo circle, there was a big event that happened yesterday, and that, of course, is Nintendo Direct. This is kind of it's not a monthly thing. I think it's more like a quarterly or twice a year type deal, where they basically have their own release party. Like, here, we're going to give you a 2-hour show and show you all this awesome stuff that you can look forward to in the future. So that happened yesterday, and I am not going to go down the entire list because it's a long list, but needless to say, it's an impressive list, and I just want to hit on a couple of the different pieces that at least pertain to me or to my gaming family, which means my boys and me. The first is it was announced the next characters that will be joining Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and that is Pyra and Mithra from Xenoblade Chronicles 2. They will be released as DLC next month, so March 2021. They will be the third, together they will make the third character from the Xenoblade Chronicles 2, the first being Shulk. Now, the next announcement that they revealed, okay, so there are like a couple games that Nintendo, or really Nintendo and Square Enix, whatever, formation.
Square,
exactly. So as you know, of my opinion about Chrono Trigger and the fact that it's on every single fucking platform. There's another game out there that is a huge fan favorite, but a little bit harder to find. And it was announced that Legend of Mana, or Mana, however you want to pronounce it, is coming to the Switch. And
interesting.
The PlayStation 4. And Steam on June 24th of this year.
But not the Xbox?
Correct.
Fascinating.
There will be enhancements like remastered graphics, the ability to toggle for enemy encounters, the Ring Ring Land minigame, and the ability to hear the original soundtrack or choose a different version, like a more updated version. That is actually very interesting.
Did you play Secret of Mana back in the day?
I have to say that I was more of a front seat passenger to Legend of Mana. I own it, and I played a little bit of it, but it was watching my buddy play that I got to see the most of Legend of Mana.
Gotcha. Because I never really played RPGs or really JRPGs back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely never played it myself.
But I as you immediately noticed, it was very interesting. They said Switch, PlayStation 4, and Steam.
No Xbox. That's
with no
weird.
Xbox. Yeah, that is very weird. Now, since we're on the remakes or remasters, whatever you want to call it, let's talk about another one coming. And this one has a bunch of people excited. And that, of course, is The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD is coming to the Switch.
I saw that, yep.
A lot of people, and I'm going to say, I liked Skyward Sword on the Wii. I just wasn't in love with the controls. So kind of, I kind of lost, it was not the best it could be because I didn't like the controls. But they're going to do the HD remake, and for those who want to, they can do motion controls, which of course has been optimized for the Switch, and you'll be controlling your sword with your right Joy-Con, and the left will be your shield. I hope that you could switch the two. I hope that, there's a way, because to be really awkward for me, because I'm left-handed, to be like, oh shit, that's right, I'm swinging my shield again, damn it. But
the funny thing to me is the HD moniker, because some people would not consider 720p HD. You got to be 1080p to be truly HD.
All right, semantics, but it is set
reality.
Whatever. Well, it's got to be 4K then. The game is set to be released July 16th, 2021. Now, for those out there who are the true hardcore fans, there's going to be a version that comes out that will be released with special Joy-Con controllers that are Zelda-themed Joy-Cons, which is very interesting. I don't know if I'd buy it, but I would definitely take a look at it.
Yeah, I think I saw it was to get both the new Zelda and the Joy-Cons will be like $110.
Like I said, looks very interesting, but I don't know. And of course, there is going to be a buttons-only version if that's the way you want to do it. You don't have to do the motion controls. There was, I think they had to immediately placate the fears of those out there who have the Switch Lite. You know, they don't have the detachable Joy-Cons. It's one unit.
So if you were to play it, because you did not enjoy the motion controls on the original Wii, do you think you just play with like the gamepad instead of the Joy-Cons?
Oh yeah, yeah. It's not if, but when I get this game, I'll be playing with the gamepad.
Ah, there you go.
So I've just
you know where your standards are.
Yeah, exactly. I like the motion controls, okay, but for some reason, the vast majority of the games I've played, when it comes with motion controls, just don't feel. They don't feel solid. It feels a little wonky, and that really takes me out of the gaming experience. If you're gonna give me motion controls where I've got to move and stuff, I want it to. I know it's almost impossible, but I want 1-to-1. Okay.
Well, my main problem with motion controls is usually if I'm playing in that form where I could use motion controls, it's because I'm in the comfort of like my couch or recliner.
Right.
And using motion controls, like when I'm kind of scrunched, like using a regular gamepad's fine, but trying to do motion controls like while you're laying down is just awkward.
Yes. Yes, it is.
So a lot of games, like unless like basically playing like Wii Sports or something where it's like intended for you to basically be standing and moving around, it's kind of like,
Yep. So okay, so we've covered a couple. Let's keep going on the list here of highlights that I have pointed out here. The next one is a free-to-play online shooter called Star Wars Hunters. For those out there who are Star Wars fans and they're like, okay, so when does this game take place? I can tell you, it takes place between episode 6 and episode 7. There's no hard date for its release, but they're saying it's going to be 2021, sometime this year. It will be available on the Switch, the App Store, the Apple App Store, and Google Play. And of course, anytime that you have a game on the Switch that requires online, the first question that many people ask is Nintendo Switch Online membership needed? And the answer is no, it is not. So you can truly play it for free. There's no hidden like, oh, by the way, you've already had to subscribe to this. I know you downloaded it for free, but you can't actually play it for free.
Well, that's the thing. Like on the PS5, if a game is free to play, then it's also you don't have to pay the Sony Plus subscription to play it online.
Right.
So like I've been playing Blessed. It's a MMO action RPG, and because it's free to play, you don't have to pay the subscription to do it.
See, that's smart. I know that I find it hard to believe that we are pretty well into online gaming, and still there are so many free-to-plays that, depending on your platform, you may have to be using an online subscription service in order to actually play this free-to-play online.
Well, a game like that, like Blessed, it wouldn't survive if you had to pay the Sony subscription, I think. Because it's a free-to-play MMO, and most players, I think at least when they're especially lesser-known free ones, they're just going to check it out.
Oh, absolutely.
And if they don't have the $15 a month PlayStation Plus subscription, it's like, nope, never mind, not worth it.
Right.
I don't even know what games actually require PlayStation Plus, because the ones I've played don't actually require to have the online element. So like Nier Automata, same thing. You can encounter like the dead bodies, kind of like the Dark Souls to upgrade and stuff. Same thing. You don't need to have that. And I don't think games like Valorant need it. Basically the free-to-play action game or Smite and those games, I don't think those require it either.
Dude, those would be dead in the water if you had to pay something on top of it.
Yeah, I mean, they'd be successful in other platforms, but on the PlayStation 5 or 4, yeah. So, no,
What in the biggest deal, wasn't there like a couple of games that that are free to play but required a Nintendo Switch Online subscription? Wasn't there like a deal like a couple months ago? I feel like there was like a big game. There was like a solid, free to play game with microtransactions. That's was free, truly free on all the platforms but the Switch because you had to have the Switch Online membership.
That would not surprise me at all.
Okay. That being said, there's a couple other things that I got to hit on for this Nintendo Direct, which, dear God, there was so much information that got pumped out of this thing. Now, this may just be for me, but I have to say it. They announced that there's going to be a new Mario Golf. And
Ooh.
to be honest with you, I really liked Mario Golf. I had it on GameCube, on DS, was it on the Wii? Yeah, it was on the Wii, and now of course it's going to be on the Switch. There will be the ability to have motion controls for those of you who want to continue playing like you did on the Wii, but of course there'll be regular gamepad controls as well. But the coolest thing that was lacking in the Wii version, was there a Wii version? I feel like there was a Wii version, but I'm doubting myself now. I know for a fact that in the game, or is it the DS version? Damn it. Okay. Anyways, there was a mode that was removed for one of the previous iterations, and that was story mode. And they've added story mode back. So what you'll be able to do is you'll be able to play as your Mii, and you can level up and challenge and interact with heroes and villains of the Mushroom Kingdom. And of course, if you feel like you've got your big boy pants on, you can take on individuals in multiplayer mode as well. However, I wonder if that multiplayer mode requires Nintendo Online subscription.
Now that sounds like a Charlie game to play to me.
Oh yeah, I'm all over it. I'm all over it. June 25th for the Nintendo Switch. Sounds like a late birthday present to me.
Isn't that convenient?
Yes, very convenient. All right. I have to say this for all the people out there who've tuned into Ultra Confusion, Thursday Night Hangouts, or anything Ultra Confusion, you will know that I have a big old soft spot for one independent developer out there, and that, of course, is Supergiant Games.
Of course.
During this Nintendo Direct event, they announced that they are going to do a physical release of Hades.
A physical release?
Huh?
What do they mean by physical release?
Like you can actually get the box. It's not going to just be a digital download. You can
actually prefer vinyl.
Oh, dude, that would be awesome too. But anyways,
vinyl that hooks up to your Switch somehow.
That would be awesome. No,
ask me how.
March 19th, the physical copies of Hades will be released to stores around the world. And gosh darn it, Supergiant Games deserves it. And it's going to be very hard for me not to buy that, just because I tend to buy multiple copies of Supergiant Games because I like it so much. I've got Hades on. Huh?
Well, did you see what else the physical edition comes with?
No, what else comes with it?
An art book.
Sold. Yeah. God dang. Yeah. Okay. Anyways.
Okay, so here's my question.
Huh?
All right, if you have the digital version and you have the physical copy,
yes,
is the save state for both of those identical, or does it like basically create? Okay.
No. It'll just give you the save file will be exactly the same. Okay. It's not like it's not like you're playing on the PC and now you're playing on the Switch. That, you can't transfer that save file, though it would be cool. But no, it's the same save file. All right.
Nice.
For those super duper hardcore Nintendo fans out there, who have been with the series through the Famicom. I can never pronounce it right. Famicom. Anyways, basically what the Nintendo Entertainment System was before it was really the NES. There were a series of games called Detective Club.
Mm-hmm.
The first game was released in 1988. The second game was released in 1989. They are going to bring both these titles. It's called The Missing Heir and The Girl Who Stands Behind to the Switch May 14th. This apparently, I've never played these games, but what I've heard is that these are phenomenal, like murder mystery, challenging games to use, your skills. Basically, like an anime version of like Sherlock Holmes, kind of.
Okay. Yep.
Where you've got creepy amounts of drama and tons of suspects. You got to wade through the evidence. So May 14th, the Famicom, Detective Club, The Missing Heir, and The Girl Who Stands Behind will be released. I'm going to be totally honest with you. I don't know if I'll actually buy into this, but I'll definitely keep my eye on it to see, take a quick peek to see if that game is up my alley. Because if you've been paying attention to the Alter Confusion website or any of the social media means, I just finished an investigation-esque type of game in Call of the Sea, which has a little bit of a Cthulhu twist thrown in there. And I don't know, I'm in more of like, the action, mystery, solving, thriller type games right now. So this might actually end up being something that I truly tune into.
Right up your alley.
Yes. Also, my entire playthrough is available on YouTube.
Nice.
Just in case you were wondering. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to do friends of the show real quick because we have just a little bit of a break that we could take before we hit the rest of the topics. So, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let us give some love and support to the friends of the show. The Indie Cluster is an organization of independent game developers that want to gain exposure by being involved in the community. They collectively journey to popular conferences as a traveling booth to help gain attention for their games. They make partnerships in local communities to bring games to the mainstream mindset. They highlight local, unusual, and rare concepts to challenge the paradigm of the common. They also host events to teach kids and minority groups about game development to hopefully one day enter the industry themselves. For more information, go to http:/indiecluster.com. Hero Chiropractic is a unique healthcare practice set up by Ryan Moore, the company's focus to elevate a patient's experience of freedom, creative expression, and joy. They believe that everyone can be a hero and has incredible heroic potential inside themselves waiting to be unleashed. Hero Chiropractic focuses on mobile chiropractic care in the greater Atlanta area. They are committed to healing clients by creating a plan of action uniquely suited for each person. They make that plan of action as convenient and affordable as possible, and most importantly, suited to your individual needs. For more information, go to www.herochiropractic.com. Nerdburger Games is the game design imprint of award-winning RPG designer Craig Campbell. Craig has done a whole bunch of RPG design freelancing in the past. Several years ago, he dove into designing his own RPG. Now, Nerdburger Games has multiple RPGs and is showing no signs of stopping. Nerdburger Games endeavors to create games that explore corners of the RPG landscape that haven't been explored, or haven't been explored very often. These games forego dense gaming mechanics in favor of a lighter rule set that allow players to focus on telling fun, engaging, memorable stories. After yet another successful Kickstarter, their library has increased in size. Currently, the games that at least Zealeus and I have played are Capers, Die Laughing, Merzen Acquisitions, and of course, the soon-to-be-played Good Strong Hands. For more information, go to www.nerdburgergames.com. Battle & Brew is Atlanta's first and oldest gaming bar and restaurant. Opened in 2005, Battle & Brew had a very modest menu, a few beer taps, and focused heavily on gaming. Now, they have grown to encompass so much more. They pioneered geek trivia in Atlanta and remain the hardest trivia in town. They have upgraded the menu from only a few items to all your bar favorites, and some soon-to-be favorites. They've expanded the gaming and kept everything top of the line. They've taken a good place and made it a great place. A place where the staff listens to your desires and suggestions. A place where you and your friends feel like you're at home. A place where everyone knows your game. For more information about Battle and Brew, go to www.battleandbrew.com. All right, ladies and gentlemen, before we truly get back into things, let's do one quick shout out or a couple of quick shout outs for Alter Confusion because it's the Alter Confusion show, so it'd feel weird if we didn't do shout outs. So, ladies and gentlemen, I do want to remind you that Alter Confusion is proud to say that we have been fundraising for Extra Life for 10 years straight. Extra Life is gamers doing what they do best, gaming, to help sick and injured children at their chosen Children's Miracle Network hospital. This money that we raise through Extra Life will go directly to our hospital of choice, Children's Healthcare of Atlanta, as unrestricted funds. This means that the hospital decides where and how to spend the money to ensure the dollars we raise make the biggest impact in the lives of the kids they treat. This is an organization and an opportunity that we have loved to be part of, like I said, for 10 straight years. So if you have the ability, please go over to extra-life.org and search on, I believe, Alter Confusion. Right? Can you do it by that, or do you have to do it by my name?
I searched. I don't know. I have it bookmarked.
Okay. Well, anyways, go over there. If it gets a little tricky, you of course could go to www.alterconfusion.com. It's in one of the bars below there, or if you're watching this on Twitch, it's in one of the navigation bar below it. Or basically, if you go to any of our social media means, you could probably find one of our Extra Life posts and just
So searching for Alter Confusion or Charlie Hawkins goes to the same link.
Sweet. All right. So a little extra personal love in that, of course, is Alter Confusion has a Patreon. Patreon helps Alter Confusion to survive through the love and support of fans like you. It lets us oh my gosh. Patreon lets you, the fan supporters, become active participants in the work we love through a monthly membership. This gives you access to exclusive content, community, and insight in our creative process. In exchange, we gain a bit more freedom to do our best work and the stability we need to build an even stronger creative career. Currently, Alter Confusion has 2 tiers of subscription. One is $1 a month, so that would be $12 a year. And the other one is the $5 a month, which would be $60 a year. The $1 will give you early access to all the playthrough videos and some more stuff that's coming down the pipeline. And of course, you will be able to take part in member-only polls to help kind of guide Alter Confusion and certain gameplay videos and other stuff. Now, if you do the $5 one, which is $60 a year, you get to be added into the shout-out section for our Thursday night hangouts. And of course, you get the same benefits as the $1 level. Now, I know that I did an apology video a couple weeks ago, and I promised that I would do better about picking up stuff if you, ladies and gentlemen, supporters, lovers, fans of Alter Confusion, want to send a physical something to Alter Confusion, be it a Funko Pop or a t-shirt or a hat or a mug or things within the realm of acceptability. Hell, just send something, and if we could show it, we'll show it to you on the show. How about that? And we'll do unboxings. But if you want to send something to Alter Confusion, all you got to do is hit us up on the mailbox by going 1551 Dunwoody, that's DUNWOODY, Village Parkway. Super duper important part here, number 88276. Without this number, it does not go to the P.O. box. It goes to the post office proper, and it will be returned to you. So remember, number 88276. The city is Dunwoody, once again, DUNWOODY, Georgia 30338. And I plan to go there every single Saturday to check to make sure that if there's a package there, that it gets picked up.
Is there a way to get like a notification or like ask like, hey, do I have anything? Or do you just have to find out yourself?
You have to find out yourself.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Or I can have someone check for me physically. So I can just send Zealeus to the P.O. box every day. Be like, is there anything there? Is there anything there? Is there anything here? Yeah, that'd go over real well.
An everyday check, that sounds like the life to me.
Yeah. Well, that's part of the art. For those of you who don't know, because of COVID, I was very hesitant about going to the post office, and I unfortunately allowed mail and packages to build up. What I didn't know is that the post office only holds a package for so long before returning to sender. And so what ended up happening is quite a few packages were returned to sender. And I pray that those individuals out there who did send something physical actually got their money back or got their package back. If that's not the case, just hit me up. We'll try to work something out. But I felt like shit. I still feel like shit for letting that happen. I didn't know that that's what the post office was going to do during a pandemic.
Who knew? The pandemic just screws everything up.
Yeah. Anyways. All right. So back to these stories. And I know this one is really close to Zealeus' heart. And that, of course, is that...
I have a heart?
Yes. It's very small. It requires a very high-powered microscope. But the game that Zealeus just has to have has unfortunately been delayed again. Ladies and gentlemen, Amazon's MMO New World is now set to launch in August with a closed beta for pre-orders in July.
It keeps getting delayed and delayed. But here's the question, though. After we saw the epicness that was Cyberpunk 2077, is this a case of Amazon being like, whoa, let's hold the boat. Let's make sure that we actually release a product that is actually playable and not buggy. Or is it a case of they're never going to complete the game and it's just going to be terrible no matter what it is?
Okay, so choosing Cyberpunk 2077 as an example is probably beyond spot on. Cyberpunk 2077, of course, was hit with massive delays. And then at some point, they had this magical date of going, we're going live. And of course, shit continuously hit the fan after that. New World, from the Amazon's big MMO, has, of course, been postponed again and again and again. Originally targeted to be released May 2020. We're now looking at, what did I say, August 2021. Okay, so that's a year, which is kind of, in the Cyberpunk 2077 vein. But this is going to be online only versus Cyberpunk, which was more of a first person, it's more of a single player. So the question I have for you, Zealeus, and for the audience is, given the fact that this is going to be an MMO and there's going to be constant player interaction, do you think that it could recover faster because you have to constantly be updating and patching an online game? Could it recover faster from what Cyberpunk 2077 did right off the bat?
Potentially, but my experience with MMOs, if they come out of the gate, it's that initial launch has to be successful with MMOs. Meaning when it comes out, you kind of have that first week to month to really grab those players to get into your game. And if it's an epic fail, you basically have two choices. Either A, it's going to continue to maybe tread water and not be successful, or you have to pull like a Final Fantasy 14 and basically remake it. Or actually what I'm playing is Blessed, I forgot what to call it now, Unleashed, where it was actually released like a year ago, was terrible, and basically it's like a re-release, very similar, but just lots of improvements.
Isn't that what they did with their other game? Isn't that what they did with Crucible?
That was yes.
Yeah.
Well, yes. Amazon, you mean? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you played. I think because you actually played Crucible, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
It was okay.
Well, I feel like Crucible was more of a trying to jump into the whole
Overwatch.
The whole battle royale, Overwatch, etc. genres. Versus, I mean, it's been under production, New World that's like that was like their first announcement from a game studio.
Yep.
So that's been around forever.
It was announced back at TwitchCon 2016.
Yeah. So that I feel like is more, they're actually kind of putting their eggs into that basket. So I don't know, but like a lot of games, if it comes out and it's an epic fail at launch,
Mhm.
it's just super hard to recover. Of course, the one advantage that Amazon has going forward is they can pour insane amount of resources into the game, and that's like 0.0001% of their actual like costly yearly cost of Amazon
Okay,
expenditures.
we're talking about the same company that is basically. Oh God, we're probably gonna get slammed for this, but you're talking about the same company who won't just, foot the bill to cover everyone, all streamers, hopefully vast majority accidental DMCA issues. Oh no, you can't play this. So
Okay, that's a fair point. Two different divisions.
we don't hope. I don't know. Now, so how about this? And I think I already know your answer, but I'm going to ask you anyways. Okay, so let's say that they do get close to the launch of in August. They do a closed beta that starts in July. If shit hits the fan while the closed beta is still happening, do you think that they'd be? How long do you think they'd be able to push for the actual release? With with people already kind of like moving around in that atmosphere.
Honestly, I feel like they could push it out indefinitely and nobody would really care. Um,
Wouldn't the
I mean,
closed beta people do?
well, I don't really care about the closed beta people. I'm just talking about as far as the actual gold launch to push that basically as far as Amazon wants.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like the most of the gamers going to actually care about how far out is a video game launch pushed. I just don't really think that matters much as far as, and I feel like that was, I mean, obviously Cyberpunk had a lot of issues, but it's like, if a game is really good, I don't really think it matters if you meet your launch date. You just continue to push it back and back. I mean, I know, of course, the problem with that is it costs your company money.
Yep.
Because you don't have the income from your shiny new game, and you're continuing to pour resources into it is obviously an issue.
Yep.
But at the same time, somebody like Amazon, you have those resources. Weird thing, well, not weird, just things aside, like they won't spend money on certain things, even though they should. So yeah, I would hope that they release it in an actual playable state, and we'll see. I've heard pretty much nothing about the game because there's not really a whole lot of information on it as far as what is it. It's, I guess, like a survival building type of MMO more than, I don't know.
I'm so glad you asked. Let me tell you a little bit about New World. New World boasts 50 on 50 siege style combat set in a fictionalized continent resembling the one conquered by European explorers in the 1500s and 1600s. They, of course, have already come out of the way and say it's not going to be historical presentation. There are going to be supernatural and non-human forces there's going to be player factions, rather than nationalities. So they are that. Besides that, that's all they're giving. But going back to when they first announced this back in TwitchCon 2016, they actually announced New World and then two other games. One of them, of course, being Crucible, which was that, I guess, Overwatch clone-esque thing. And then there was another one that was going to be a multiplayer brawler called Breakaway, which has already been canceled.
I don't remember anything about that game.
Yeah, that one got canned pretty fast.
Oh, well.
But anyways, it'll be very interesting to see. First of all, 50 on 50 siege style combat.
Could be pretty cool.
Could be pretty cool, but could be terrible as well.
I mean, other MMOs have done it, and it's worked out well. Not that it's easy to do, obviously. Obviously, you have to do something right.
Yep.
I mean, you've seen that other MMOs with successful large-scale PvP. The question is, obviously, are you going to screw it up?
Right. Absolutely.
Will it actually work?
So for me, personally, if this thing were to go into closed beta, I personally think that I wouldn't say you'd be able to push it back indefinitely. I think that there would be a point where if you can't figure out what's wrong and you've had these individuals in closed beta for 3 or 4 months and stuff still doesn't feel right, then I think you're not going to release it.
So you think it comes to a point where the game is basically too far past saving?
Yes.
Yeah.
And
I can see
that
that.
unfortunately is that's the reality with certain games. I mean, hopefully, if that is the case where the game is beyond saving, or it may require a Final Fantasy 14 kind of, reborn, rebirth type of thing, where we had a lot of good elements, but the whole thing just kind of sucked balls. That I could see, but I don't think that you could, once you have people playing around in your world, you either are going to have to release it as is, or you could pull Star Wars Galaxy and piss off everyone by changing all of the mechanics in there and have the vast majority of the Star Wars Galaxy fan base go to what do you call it? Hidden servers. Where people basically reverse engineered the game before this patch so they could actually play the game they love and not the game that got shut out.
Well, the interesting thing too is the game is only available on PC.
Right.
Which nowadays, in the world of easier ports to particularly the PS and the Xbox, it's a bold choice because even most MMOs, probably EVE aside, because I don't think EVE is on the consoles, correct?
Fuck if I know.
I don't think it is. But I mean, think about it, pretty much every MMO that's except for World of Warcraft, that's obviously another exception.
Yep.
But most MMOs, especially because they're all, not all, but mostly of like the action-oriented genre nowadays, they're pretty much on all the consoles, or at least more than just the PC. Because of course, when it's only the PC, you're limiting your user base.
Right. So you do bring up a valid point. Now, the question that I have is, there are definitely MMOs out there whose games exist on different platforms, but the question then boils down to cross-platform, or your platform determines who you're going to be playing with. Like if you're on PC, you're only playing with PC people, even if there's like PlayStation and Xbox people.
Well, I think that partly depends A, on the game, and B, on the actual console manufacturer, because Sony's the one who's notoriously closed-walled.
Yep.
Final Fantasy 14 aside, that's an exception.
Final Fantasy 11 as well, right? I'm trying to think.
I never played 11.
I played 11 for just a little bit, and then I was like, oh, God damn it. I played WoW before 11, and I got so spoiled, and I spent like, however, I like did 2 or 3 months, and I got so frustrated because like, who the hell has a quest for me? Just tell me, because you don't get the icons. It's you just have to talk to people. It's more EverQuest style.
Well, of course, the other big one, I should say most recent really big one is Genshin Impact.
Yep.
The one that's taken the world by storm, and that is cross-platform across the PlayStations, the PCs, the Androids, and the iOSs.
Is that on Switch?
Not yet. It is coming to Switch. I know that at some point.
Oh, damn. I thought that was the one that the Nintendo Online thing was.
I could see that being super successful on the Switch.
Oh, absolutely.
Because that's the perfect like mobile gotcha action game.
Yeah.
But with that, so you can do cross-platform between the PC and the Android, but you have to tie your Genshin account to your PSN account.
There it is.
So you can, it's cross-platform, so you can play on the PlayStation with people on other platforms, but it's cloud saved on other platforms except for PSN. So that's where sometimes it gets a little bit like, huh?
Wait, what?
Okay, so if you're playing Genshin Impact on the PlayStation, your save for PlayStation Network only works with PlayStation.
Okay.
But you can still play with people on other devices. So people on PC and iOS are still on your server. But if you play on the PC, that's a cloud save. They can then also play with your iOS account.
Interesting.
So that's cross-save platform on those.
That is stupid. That PlayStation, whatever.
Well, that's Sony. I know.
Oh, I know.
Yep.
I know.
But I'm interested. I mean, there's still the MMO market is still, it will be alive and well.
Yeah.
So there's definitely a market out there for a large, popular, successful MMO, if it can be New World. I think the careful thing with New World, though, is there's so many MMOs and free-to-play ones out there where, like I said, I think you really kind of have to hit it out of the park.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, it's going to be like Crucible.
Yes, I agree. I think that.
Now, here's another question.
Yes.
Let's say New World does not succeed.
Mm-hmm.
Would that be the end of Amazon Game Studios?
Since they, as long as their service, what's it called, Luna, is a potentially a thing, they'll keep the studio. If they fail on Crucible part or version 2 and New World version 1 through A through Z or whatever, and then Luna goes under, then hell no. No. They I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to ultimately, I think they're going to try to put their own stuff on their own platform, but they want to get some buzz going with the games that they have out there. But if they fail to do that, and of course, the unfortunately the biggest factor for Luna and a lot of these cloud streaming gaming platforms like Google Stadia and whatnot is the ISPs. And I was talking, who was I talking to? I was talking to a family member the other day, and they're actually, that's right. I was talking to one of my family members the other day, and they have like the tier below what I have in terms of internet through Xfinity. Yep. And they're having to pay overages every single month because they stream stuff on their tablets and their TVs because they've got YouTube TV, and they also do, videos on their tablets and stuff. And they're actually going above the cap.
Wow.
Every single month.
And that's going to continue to happen.
And it's just going to get worse. Unfortunately.
Yeah, it's going to continue to get worse. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if the Stadia and Luna are going to take off in the end. Mainly,
you've already seen the Stadia. The Google's already closed their
internal
first
studio.
Internal studio, which apparently blindsided a bunch of people that actually worked in that.
I saw that article, yeah.
And a lot of people say that the true thing to blame was the Bethesda merger that kind of killed a bunch of stuff. But yeah, I mean, right now it's not a good time to have a brand new service that's heavily reliant on ISP.
Well, the problem is any indication that the status quo for ISPs is going to change.
Right.
I mean, there's no incentive for the ISPs to all of a sudden be like, you know what, we're going to give up our monopoly. That's a great idea, guys. It'll take a true disruption to the service, like hypothetically speaking, the Starlink from SpaceX takes off.
Yep.
I think that's what it'll actually take is either 5G, which has its own issues, coming into your house, or the Starlink. Like it has to be. That's what Google actually ended up looking at when Google Fiber, when they realized truly how exorbitant the pull-to-pull price was. That's when they tried actually doing basically the air fiber to actually transmit and do that. Right. That obviously had its own cost prohibitive issues, but I think that's where the future of these services would potentially be using the airwaves, because you can actually disrupt the ISPs. That's really the only way of doing it. I mean, even you've seen where local municipalities have tried doing their own local ISPs because what's offered by, I'm just throwing out Comcast because that's one of the incumbents, is so shitty. Yep. The municipality is like, hey, let's create our own, charge what it costs. We're not making a profit, but we're really offering a great service. 10 times out of 9, it's better than the private firm, but then the Comcast goes crying to the state legislator and ends up getting laws passed basically prohibiting the municipality from doing that, even though it's not like they're doing it at a cost loss. They're just
Right.
doing it as a service because
That's what it is.
Yes.
Let's be honest, okay?
Yep.
Okay. I'm going to jump on my soapbox real quick and then we'll jump off. I promise. I hope. Okay. The Zealeus is absolutely 100% correct. In order to change the way that ISPs treat us, something big has to happen. It's basically the best way I could put it is Blockbuster was the way to get videos. You had all these Blockbusters everywhere, and then Netflix came along and you could get your stuff to you. You could get the discs and whatever sent to you. You don't have to go anywhere. And then it's streaming where you don't even have to wait for disc, which might be scratched. That, of course, changed movie viewing habits, home movie viewing habits. So something on that scale has to happen in the ISP, Internet Service Provider space, in order to do that. Zealeus is right also that there is, of course, you got SpaceX, was it Starlink, which no one knows truly when that will happen. You can lock in for was it $99 just to lock in, and then the equipment costs about $500.
Yep.
And of course, they don't know when the service will be available. But you could go that route. Of course, you go the 5G route, where all these different cell phone companies, which are owned by a lot of the ISPs, are giving you options where you could just 5G it. And of course, the big problem is if my cell phone doesn't get good reception in my basement where I have my gaming rig, there's not going to be, it's not going to help to go to 5G wireless network using those cell phone towers.
Well, the problem, so to make life even more confusing, you basically have two different 5Gs.
Yep.
You have the 5G, which most people have, but then you have, I forget what the new 5G is called. And basically 5G works for a extremely small area.
We've got the LGE and then the 5G, right?
I can't remember the acronyms anymore. Because they had to keep the same 5G nomenclature because that's smart. At least like Wi-Fi in the house started going to like Wi-Fi 6 instead of like, we must remember which 802.11 random numbers after it is the correct protocol. But yeah, it's whatever the 5G that's actually could replace your ISP in terms of latency and speed. They almost have to like install the box at your house. I think you saw it was like in Houston, where basically the city allowed for Verizon to do that without, and basically so Verizon can go into like any house yard and install their hunking box, and there's not a thing you can do about it.
Ultra
and
wideband.
That's for the, what's that?
The new one is ultra wideband.
Yeah, and so that's for that's the wideband 5G, but that's why they're having to install basically in people's front yards, is because that's the only way that they'll actually be fast enough to be what we want from the like you'll never get that in rural.
No,
because it's really for only densely populated areas. And of course, the other issue is the higher the frequency you get, the harder it is to go through walls. So you might think like, oh, great for apartment complexes. In theory, we have all those walls to go through. So how is it going to work in that situation? So
the other thing is, if you're working in an apartment complex or just a building in general, the amount of connections hitting that thing will also beat the crap out of it. Yeah, you're going. If you ever lived in an apartment or a townhouse complex, you may have seen this box on the side of the building that has a shit ton of like coax going in to a bunch of different places. That, my friends, is the switch. And the more connections there are on there, the more it's going to get hit. And the more it gets hit, the shittier your internet's going to get.
That's why at our school we finally went to dedicated fiber, because we were seeing the effects of that, because even business class coax is still sharing coax with the local NOC and all your neighbors.
Yep, because it's got to go all through the same switch.
Yep, and so we definitely saw some service degradations. So that's where eventually switched over to fiber, because then you actually have a dedicated circuit. once you're on the fiber.
Yes, the fiber.
The fiber shall rule us
So,
all.
anyways, what needs to happen is some crazy big change, and it wouldn't hurt to actually have someone on the FCC, the president of the FCC, to actually be not in one of the ISP's pockets, receiving a paycheck.
Whoa. What kind of government action are you talking about now?
Capitalism 101?
Isn't that the whole point of being on the board, that you can be in somebody's pocket so then you can leave and go work for that same company
No,
who you're supposed to be actually controlling?
No. You work for a company, get a big paycheck for one of the ISPs, and they're like, oh, there's a new position open. You go like, oh, well, I am no longer active in this one, but I know a lot about ISPs. So you jump on there and you keep getting your what do you call it? Oh, God dang it, what's it called?
Benefits?
No, company board benefits.
Stock options?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah.
I'm not an active employee. However, I am on the board of directors. That's it, board of directors. But I'm not making day-to-day decisions.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just benefiting amazingly well over the fact that my company, the company that I like to support, is making so much money that the dividends coming back to me is phenomenal.
I love my dividends.
I love dividends. So yeah, shit's got to change. And this is coming from someone who was in telecom for 6 years. So I know some of the dark secrets.
You know too much.
Yes, I do know too much. But that's besides the point. All right, so I've got one more thing for us, since we're getting kind of close to the end here. And the question I have that was given to me by someone on another Discord server: what is the oldest console you still have either connected to your TV or that you could have access to?
For me, it would be the Xbox 360.
Who got you that?
I don't know. Some strange people from the Atlanta area when I moved up to the frozen tundra of Minnesota. Mm-hmm. It was fun. I really enjoyed the Xbox 360.
Same
it was
here.
A good console, and I never got the Red Ring of Death.
You bastard! I thought that I had somehow like circumnavigated it, and then I got hit with it at random.
Oh, ooh.
Yeah, so I had to do the turnout, and then, like, soon after I got the replacement, I went ahead and got the Elite. So, but for me, I guess console-wise, I think I've got the original Nintendo, pretty accessible. I could get the original Nintendo, the Super Nintendo, the Wii, original Xbox, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, Xbox One. I guess it'd be easier for me to tell you what I don't have. I don't have any of the Segas. I don't have any of the Ataris. I don't have the 3DOs. I do not have my Nintendo 64. Neo Geo! Yeah, man, Neo Geo. I do not have my 64. I think I lent it out to my sister. So that's where that is. I do not have an original PlayStation. However, I have a PlayStation 2. Of course, I have a PlayStation 2, and I have a PlayStation 3 with hardware emulation, so I could play PlayStation 1 games on that. But the reason why I don't have a PlayStation 1 is because I tried to solder on a mod chip, and I actually put the soldering iron right into the board.
You have the PS4 or just the PS3?
3. I have all the Xboxes.
While we're talking consoles, I have a game you have to play.
Oh boy. It is called Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice.
It's basically a psychedelic type of game that brings you through the psychosis of a Viking.
Oh, fantastic. I will store it over here.
When I was playing it, I'm like, this seems like a Charlie game.
You know that interesting. But yeah, So at one point I owned a PlayStation 1. At one point I owned a Nintendo 64. I think the one thing that I never owned was the Wii U because I thought it was pointless.
Mm.
The
I
only
definitely
time I
never got a Wii U.
the only thing that would have made me think about getting a Wii U is if you were allowed to have more than one Wii board, like 4 Wii boards, and you could do. And I know I've said this a million times, but if you could have done Legend of the Four Swords on 4 Wii boards, I would have been in. I would have bought all that shit in a heartbeat. But it never happened.
I have the original Windows CE phone. That's probably my oldest usable electronic device I have from a modern world. I'm not counting a clock because that doesn't count.
No, okay. Let me think about this. Phones. I've got a Palm Pilot.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I definitely have a BlackBerry somewhere.
I have somewhere in this house. There is a phone that I don't, of course, probably won't hold a charge, but that phone has Major League Baseball 08.
Nice.
So that I can relive the glory days.
Keep it. You should have that framed.
I wish I could. I wish I could, but unfortunately, because of the contract that we signed, no one will ever know. Unless, of course, you reverse engineer the code, then you'll see my name everywhere.
Oh, that's the last thing I need to see.
I know.
Wait. Yes.
Real quick, I know Zealeus has plans to go to bed in 2 seconds, but I am really sad. I missed out big time on an event that happened on Legend of Runeterra. It was the Lunar New Year Festival, and I got, I of course got sick, and the days kind of got away from me, and so I didn't get to do any of the cool stuff. So I missed out on a bunch of special limited edition crap. However, I did play Legends of Runeterra Tuesday night for those of you who tuned in, and I had one of the best matches of my life where literally it went down to the wire. I mean, it was it's basically a full court shot at the buzzer to win the damn game.
So I saw on my Reddit feed randomly, it was a Legend of Runeterra with the new cards. And I'm like, what is going on? I feel like it's becoming Magic, where when I first played Legend of Runeterra, it's pretty straightforward, right?
Yep.
And now it's all these words and nomenclatures where I'm I don't even know what's going on with the game.
Well, there's definitely some added complexity to it. I think that a lot of people found I think quite a few people out there kind of got bored of things because there was only so many strategies. Now they've got so many freaking different things. You're just I don't know what's going on. And of course that allows for different decks to be built. And believe me, I'm still I've jumped back into the Legend of Runeterra, and there's still certain keywords and attributes and stuff that I have no idea what the hell that means. The biggest
one. Nice thing is, with the PC though, you can just hover over that keyword; it'll tell you what it is, though, right?
Yes.
I mean, that's huge. That was the problem with now with Magic. It's wait, let me go back to the rule book.
No, okay. So, speaking of which, when you're on the PC, you can hover over it and it'll give you the information. The Pokemon Pokemon collectible card game for the PC, which of course is free to play, hovering over it is not really going to help because it's still a fucking novel to read so you can understand what the hell's going on. It's not. It is very poorly done. It's you put of course you put your cursor over the card and it of course zooms in, but it's I wish that it had a ×3 zoom so I could actually read all this stuff, or maybe just have someone read it to me because my God, it's wordy.
Interesting.
But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, I believe we've reached the end of our show. So I want to thank everyone for tuning into the Ultra Confusion Thursday Night Hangout. For myself, Charlie, and Zealeus, it's been a pleasure giving you everything from our heads, our mouths, and of course, our hearts. We'll be back next Thursday for another Ultra Confusion Thursday Night Hangout.
Remember, kids, keep on gaming in the free world.
Amen to that, brother.